Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss book 11 in the Goosebumps franchise by R.L. Stine, The Haunted Mask. This came out September of 93. September of 93. Very short, 121 pages long, 124 pages long, 121 pages long. This is very much the TV episode, or better yet, the episode is very much the book. It's very quick, it's very straightforward. Main character's name is Carly Beth. What is her last name? I honestly forgot. Carly Beth Caldwell. There we go. CBC. Carly Beth Caldwell. Carly Beth Caldwell has a younger brother, Noah, right? That's his name. Man, the names are just escaping me today. Let me just scroll. Let me find him. Yes, Noah. So Noah is the younger brother of Carly Beth Caldwell. I feel like Noah was the younger brother of somebody else we talked about recently within the Goosebumps franchise. So this is a big story. This is a well-known character arc. This is a well-known, there's a sequel book, there's a sequel show, Haunted Mask 2. There's been costumes of this since the 90s. This is very much, the cover is very reminiscent to the actress casted as the role of Carly Beth Caldwell in the show. Very similar. I'm very happy to see no discrepancy with that. The mask itself, the design of that on the cover is what's explained in the book. The mask that I have, still from 1996, based on the show, is very similar to this as well. We'll do our comparisons. So we're going to talk about this first, then we're going to talk about my actual original 1996 Haunted Mask. So Carly Beth Caldwell is picked on all the time. She is tired of being scared, and she wants to get a really scary mask for Halloween. This is a true Halloween story. And so her friend Sabrina and then their two friends are planning to meet up on Halloween night, go around trick-or-treating, and her plan is to get a scary mask that's not the duck costume that her mom graciously made for her because she saw it at the mall. And she wants to scare her friends. So she goes to this new costume shop in town that only opened for Halloween, finds this creepy section of masks in the back, but they feel like skin. They don't feel like rubber. And she is like, oh, this is really going to scare them. So she throws the guy 30 bucks, her life savings, even though he says he's not selling it, and she just refuses to leave without it. So he sells it to her, knowing that she's going to be coming back later that night. She goes home, puts the mask on, you know, puts the rest of her costume on, which isn't explained in this book. In the show, she puts on like just like a robe kind of a thing. But she specifically in the book puts this, it's not clay, plaster of Paris, that's what it was, version of her head that her mom made in an art class on a broomstick because it looks just like her. And she wants to go around pretending that the monster, you know, ripped her head off, and, you know, this is the trophy. Very creepy, very scary, right? So she's going around, she's doing that, but she's changing. Her voice is changing. She's getting more angry, and she's realizing that the mask is becoming her, or she's coming into the mask. So she's scaring these kids, she's scaring the two friends of her, she's scaring Sabrina, she's scaring her brother, she's scaring everybody. And she realizes that she can't get the mask off because there's no more piece where the mask meets the skin. It's just full skin, and she's freaking out. So she goes back to the costume shop. The guy is still there because he knew he would be back, saying that he made these in a lab and they took a life of their own when he took them out of the lab, that they're actual faces, that they're not masks, and that they're haunted, so that way, you know, they're attracted to evil and such. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to, you know, boast about. That the only remedy to it is love. And so, obviously, if her mom made the plaster of Paris version of her head out of love, then that is the key to getting the mask off. So somehow she gets the head of her head on top of her head, which has the mask on. And it's really funny how it's explained, because she's like, wow, how does this even fit? And it's just so quickly on to the next part. And then because that act of love then was able to release the act of hatred, which was the mask, and she could take the mask off, and the owner was saying, you know, it's a one-time thing. If it goes on somebody else, that's it. It's never coming off again. And then her brother surprises her at the end by putting the mask on and, you know, says, look, Carly Ray, I have your mask. And that's it. That's the end of the book. Very creepy. Very quick, beautiful Halloween story. Very fun. But longevity. This was almost 30 years ago. This was 27 years ago. right? 96, yeah, to 2023. In 3 years, it would be 30 years. So 30 years minus 3 years is 27. 27 years ago is when the episode came out on Fox with the Goosebumps show. The mask that I have, which we're going to talk about, was hitting the shelves around that time, Halloween time of 96. The book itself came out in 93. So the book itself is 30 years old. The mask itself is, the mask that I have is 27 years old. So the longevity of it is just such an iconic, it's an iconic cover, it's an iconic mask, it's an iconic visualization of Goosebumps. When you talk about Goosebumps, you have a few different visions. You have this hamster from Monster Blood. You always have Curly the skeleton with the pink mohawk and the little bandana thing he wears. You have Slappy the dummy. You have a werewolf here and there. You have a jack-o'-lantern head here and there. You have the abominable snowman of Pasadena. Sasquatch, abominable snowman of Pasadena. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Certain characters always stick out, and the mask is always one of them as well. Very recognizable character, very recognizable piece within the Goosebumps franchise. This is the original 1996 mask in its box from 96. So it's a voice-changing haunted mask. So the box is opened. I never technically wore this as a costume. I have the instructions still in here. The box I never put batteries in. I always loved this so much. I was afraid to wear it because I didn't want to break it. And here we are, 27 years later, still in its original box with the original Toys R Us price tag on it of $24.99. So if it was $24.99 at Toys R Us in 96, what could that cost in regards to inflation now in 2023? I'm very curious on what that number is. I would say probably more than half of it, so plus more than half. Inflation is just ridiculous. But I love the fact that even on the box art itself, this is a mini toy review as well. The box art itself says reading is a scream. It has the nice, beautiful 90s kind of, you know, pop and flair that toys used to have. 80s and 90s toys were just impeccable when it came to box art. The cardstock, the printing, things of that nature, right? Even the side work. Even if you had it on a shelf like this, like you knew exactly what it was. They don't make stuff like this anymore. And it's unfortunate, but it's still neat. I have no idea what number 11 is. I'm assuming that corresponds to the size of the mask. This is for a child, obviously. This is a kid's ages 5 and up. Maybe it's 11 in regards to 5 and up. I don't know, to be honest. Or maybe this is just the 11th costume within the Goosebumps marketing from this particular company, Micro Games of America. I do not know. But what I do know is that this has never been used. It still holds its still vacuum form. It's still very creepy and scary. And it goes perfectly alongside the original book from 1993. So as soon as I read this, I was like, you know, I got to find this. I know it's in a box in the basement with our other costumes. Has to be added. And there we go. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.